Hello, I'm Bob Matheny. I'm Mayor of Zebulon, and of course this is the Zebulon Mayor Show. You might not recognize the location showing behind me here, but we're at the local library in Zebulon, and we're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. But first I wanted to update you about some meetings that were not broadcast for this TV station. We had a meeting on February the 20th. It was a work session, and we talked about the use of the town hall facility by various groups if they wanted to have events there and that sort of thing, and had a pretty good discussion and some agreement and disagreement as we went along. But basically it was decided that any group that wanted to use the facility made a request to the town board and then made a presentation to the board, and then we would decide whether to agree to allow it or not. Now, we are continuing to work on some general parameters that would guide us as we move forward, and so there will be more concerning that coming along. But basically, it will be available to certain groups, at least within the community. Then we had a simple budget amendment of $4,000 to accommodate a new server for the Public Works Department computer. One of those unexpected things that comes along, that server kept crashing and creating problems, and they were afraid they were going to lose the data, and it just created a lot of problems. So that was one of the things that we had put off this year in trying to save money, but it turns out we had to go ahead and do it anyway. We had our retreat on February the 26th, and that was held in the police department conference room right next to Town Hall, and we received financial report regarding the general finances of the town. Department heads made reports and updates, and then we talked about capital improvements that were going to be needed. Now let me back up just a little bit too and say that at our February 20th work session, we created a transportation subcommittee. Don Baumgardner and Curtis Strickland, along with myself as an ex officio member of that committee, and we'll be working with staff to try to update our local transportation plan. And this is very important to have your input on this as we move forward. So we'll be reaching out to various groups and organizations to talk to you about transportation improvements in Zebulon. This is an update of a plan that's about 11 years old, but it's very important as we move forward. So there'll be more on that later, but did want you to know that we were working on that, and we decided to do that through a committee. That's basically the meetings, again, that were not broadcast for East Wake TV, but we're going to shift around just for a second here, and then we're going to talk about the Zebulon Library. Okay, we've switched around now, and again we're at the Zebulon branch of the Wake County Public Library, and joining me is the librarian here, Sarah Lyon. Sarah, thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, sure. We're going to talk about the library and things that tells people things they don't know, perhaps.
I hope so.
Maybe some things they do know, but anyway, we're very proud to have this library in Zebulon, and I'm proud to have you as a librarian. Having said that, let's talk a little bit about how you ended up here.
Sure.
What's your personal history in brevity?
Of course. I'll give you the abbreviated version.
Right.
I moved to North Carolina 5 years ago from the Washington, D.C. area. My husband and I met and married, and then decided we needed to get out of there as soon as possible.
Right.
Came where it's warmer and better. I went to school up there. I went to University of Maryland, College Park, to get my library degree, and so of course I wanted to get a library job down here in North Carolina. I was fortunate to be hired in with Wake County Public Libraries, and have worked all over Wake County in the past 5 years, at North Regional, Wake Forest, and most recently the Leesville Community Library, where I was a children's librarian. So I'm very excited to be here on the eastern side of Wake County, meeting everyone in Zebulon and getting to know the community.
Well, going to Maryland, you must have just felt you needed to get closer to Duke and Carolina.
Those are bad words in my house.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, anyway, it's a pleasure. And let's talk a little bit about the library. First of all, let's talk about the history of the library. I know I came to Zebulon in 1970, and I believe at that time it was in our old council chambers, but I think you have some some history on how it's evolved over the years.
That's right. As recently as 1996, I believe, it was located in the old post office building there on East Horton Street. And then Wake County Libraries built this facility here, and the groundbreaking was in 1997, and this building opened in 1998. So we've been here a while in this particular location, and we're looking forward to a renovation sometime in the next year, so
Yeah.
that we're really excited for that.
Well, I know the Horton Street, you and I were chatting earlier, that location was a library when I came here, and subsequently became our council chambers for the town and is now for sale. But we vacated that when we went to our current town hall. So anyway, we hope we're moving up, but we hope somebody's interested in that building.
That'd be
at some
great.
point. It's still a nice building. Well, let's talk about the programs. I mean, people, library, books. I mean, that just makes sense. But let's talk about the various programs that you have, starting with your adult program.
Sure. Well, we've got a full complement of resources for adults here at the Zebulon Library. Most popular, of course, being our computers. We can't call that a program exactly, but people really do like to use our computers when they come here. We have 12 computers available for public use with internet access and printing capability. We have a lot of folks come who want to do research, so they're able to use our computers to access our online databases. We have a full collection of paid subscription databases that are accessible with your library card. And any Wake County taxpayer can get a library card and use the databases. So we have folks come in and use the computers to do genealogical research. They can use our programs like Learning Express, where you can take tests to get ready for the GED or the GRE or the SAT. We have consumer reports available online, Heritage Quest if you're interested in doing that genealogical research. And then we have a legal resource database as well if people are interested in learning more about opening a small business or something of that nature. People also come to work on finding a job. You know, internet access is almost essential in terms of finding a job these days. So people can come and apply online. They can upload their resumes or print out resumes if that's what they need. We have people stop off on the way to a job interview, print off their resumes, and they're on their way.
All right. Now, we're going to talk about the library card in a little bit, but is there any charges for using the computer?
The charge to use the computer is absolutely free, again with your library card. If you wish to print, it's a 25-cent per page printing fee for black and white. If you'd like to print in color, it's a 75-cent charge.
Okay. And emails. I mean, you may have mentioned that, but let's be sure.
Oh, sure.
Everybody goes.
Yeah,
they can come in here and do emails.
Absolutely. If you have a web-based email server, then you can get on your email here. If you've got a Gmail account or a Yahoo account or even an AOL account, all of those are accessible through our library computers.
And you talked about databases that you have and a little bit about subscriptions, but I would assume there's a real array of magazines available.
Anything you can think of. If you're interested in entertainment, People Magazine. If you're interested in history, Smithsonian. If you're interested in, oh gosh, just about anything. I can't even list all the magazines and newspapers that we have. But especially for people doing research or for even people doing projects or needing to cite sources, we've got that whole range of newspapers and magazines that they can print off, and it's just like the real thing.
Do you, obviously adults have full access to the books that you have available here, and we're going to talk about that in a minute
Sure.
as well. How about other adult programs? Are there any that...
Well, here at the Zebulon Library, most of our programming is based on children and very young children. We often refer people over to the East Regional Library in Knightdale because they have 16 programs a month that are dedicated to adults. These are job-seeking workshops and craft workshops, genealogy workshops. There was one the other week about preserving your family Bible, and all of those are just a hop, skip, and a jump over to East Regional.
Okay.
Yeah.
cooperative effort there.
That's right.
Obviously, same system. But
Oh, indeed. Yes, we're all part of Wake County. That's
I
right.
understand that. Well, let's talk about the children then for a minute. I believe you have a morning program.
We do. Let me get this out in front of me so I don't leave anything out. We have so many programs for children, I would hate to leave anything out. We have programs regularly for toddlers and preschoolers on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. And what these programs focus on are early literacy skills. So, when people are bringing their children to story time at the library, we're not just reading them a book, we're engaging them, we're singing, talking, playing, repeating sounds, repeating syllables. All of those things are designed to help kids make connections and learn to read before they even know that they're learning to read, if that makes sense. So we repeat a lot of sounds. We have a letter of the day, and then Miss Margaret will do songs with the kids and rhymes. They'll clap and they'll find a rhythm. It's a lot of fun. So those are for toddlers and preschoolers. We have toddler story time Tuesdays and Thursdays, 10:30 and 11:30, and then we have preschool story time on Wednesdays at 10:30. The program that we would really like to promote is Storytime and More. That's on Mondays at 6 p.m., and that's for everybody. That's a family program. We recognize that not everyone in Zebulon can come to a mid-morning story time. It's very difficult. The reality is that a lot of people are working 2 jobs and they're sharing 1 car, and it's just not feasible. Storytime and More is Mondays at 6, and we offer the exact same Storytime program then to families, and all ages are welcome.
Are there other family programs that you have?
Well, that's the family program that we are most proud of. We do offer a program for school-age children. That's Thursdays at 4:30, and that's called Afternoon Adventures. What we do at that program is focus on we call it Read, Explore, Discover, and there's one more. Create. I forgot about Create. So we read, create, explore, and discover. And it's usually a book-based program, but Miss Margaret will incorporate a science lesson or an art lesson or a history lesson. She really runs the full gamut. And so that's for children in kindergarten through 5th grade. But what we found is a lot of families come to that. You've got dads with their kids and moms with the kids and younger siblings as well. So it's turned into a really fun program.
Well, it sounds like it really does. Now, I had down a K through 5 adventures.
That Afternoon Adventures and K through 5 adventures are the same thing. We're going through a little bit of a branding branding issue. Yeah, that's a great question. And then, of course, we've got C-Spot Read, which is the second Tuesday of every month. We have a therapy dog come to Zebulon Library at 4:30, and his name is Cole. He's a Great Dane. He stands about this high off the ground. He's still growing. He's just about a year old. He's still a puppy, believe it or not. But children who are learning to read or children who are reluctant readers are welcome to come and read to Cole and to practice a little bit with a non-judgmental audience.
But he does understand what they're saying.
Every word.
Very good. Summer reading program.
Okay. Summer reading is probably Wake County's biggest children's programming extravaganza all year long. We're very, very excited about it this year. This year's theme for 2013 is Dig into Reading. And so what it will involve is a program for not only school-age children, but for young children for the first time as well. What we'll do is we'll offer children the chance to have a library experience that goes on from June 1 until July 31st. Within that time, we'll have programs for children. We'll have incentive-based reading rewards, I guess is what you would call them, called Weekly Wows. So any child that comes to the library during those weeks of June 1 through July 31st, if they come to the desk and they're checking out books or they're just telling us something cool that they read, if they come to a program, they'll get a weekly wow. And, it can be something as small as a sticker or as cool as a pencil or a bookmark. We've got lots of really neat things to hand out. But the main push is going to be our programs. And so we'll have the full complement of Storytime programs as regular, but then we'll also have really neat programs for school-age kids, and then we'll have something called a super special once a week, and that will be an outside presenter, a paid performer who will come and really knock everyone's socks off. So can't reveal who we're having yet for our super specials, but it's going to be great.
Yeah, it just seems like there's a lot there to reach out to people, or that people can, to bring them here other than just coming to check out a book. And that's part of what we're trying to get across.
That's
So
right.
That's excellent. There's just a real array of programs here. It's good to hear. Let's talk about books, though, for a minute.
Sure.
Let's talk about availability. I mean, we're sitting here and surrounded by books. So there's just a real diversity of what you have available here. So maybe you can expand on that a little bit.
Sure. We have at the Zebulon Library everything that you might find at a regional. Just a little bit less of it because we have, less square footage. But what we do have here are books for children, books for adults, and within that we've got books in large print for our seniors who might need a little bit bigger print. We've got tons of nonfiction materials for adults, things that people can use to, study for exams or try a low sodium diet or do some self-help legal reference. Trying to think what else we have that people might be interested in. Anything really. About the only thing we don't have are textbooks. We do get sometimes requests within our library system. People who are attending Wake Tech might want their classroom textbook, and we don't purchase a lot of those. But we do really want to push our books for popular reading. We've got romance and inspirational fiction. We've got just a great variety of popular bestsellers.
Well, let's suppose that someone comes in here and is looking a book that you don't have. So,
Well,
how do you handle that?
That's a great question. We like to say at Zebulon Library that we are just part of the bigger picture. Since we have what is called a floating collection, if we don't have the book here at Zebulon Library, but they have it over at Nightdale, we can request that book and have it sent over, and that's free of charge to our card holder. What we do is we put a request in the computer, and then a truck will bring it over from Nightdale, and then we'll notify the member when the book arrives, either by telephone or email, and then they'll have 4 days to come and pick it up. So really, when you're looking for a book, you're looking at the system as a whole rather than what's on the shelf specifically at Zebulon Library. Now, if we just don't have it in Wake County at all, which might happen on occasion, we have a service called interlibrary loan, and what we can do is place a request outside of Wake County and ask another library system if they'd be willing to lend the book. So we can ask Durham County, for example, if they have a copy of a book that they'd be willing to lend to us, if we may borrow it on behalf of the member. That process usually takes between 3 and 5 weeks, so it's not an overnight turnaround, but the point is that we feel very strongly in Wake County libraries that we shouldn't limit our members in any way. So if we can get it for them, we will. And that's, again, free of charge to our members, which is a great service. I've worked for other systems that do charge for interlibrary loan. So.
Right. Well, that's excellent. You mentioned that you don't normally have textbooks. Are there any other books that you don't normally have?
Well, I can't speak to any genre in particular. I think we're pretty inclusive in what we choose to purchase.
Well, that's what I wanted you to say.
Well, there you go. That's the right answer then.
That's the point. That you can access most anything that a person's looking with an infrequent exception.
That's right. That's
so,
right. Unless it's 50 Shades of Grey.
I understand. Okay. Well, okay. Let's talk about electronic books.
Okay.
Kindle, Nook. I mean, there's an awful lot of readers that are going to electronic books for various reasons. How do you help them?
It's a big, big thing right now, and it's here to stay. It's not a fad. Wake County has dedicated a portion of its budget to purchasing ebooks to lend. We have a service called Overdrive, which is available through the Wake County Library website, and Overdrive has many popular bestsellers and nonfiction books available for electronic readers, for your Kindle or your Nook. If you have an iPad, if you have, an iPhone, there are a number of different ways that you can utilize Overdrive in order to borrow an ebook. We are learning along with our members about how these systems work. So I will say that I've learned a lot over the past couple of years about how it works, but every time a member has a question, we welcome them to come in and bring their device with them so that we can help them figure out from start to finish if they're having any problems at all.
Is there a fee for access to the electronic books?
No.
I think that if you just go online, for example, you do pay a fee. That's my understanding.
That's correct. If you're purchasing directly from Amazon, of course there's a fee like, any sort of online purchase, but as long as you have your library card and your 4-digit PIN code and you're going through Overdrive, if you're a Wake County library card holder, it's free to you. That's how it works.
There you go, folks, and you save you some money.
That's right.
Right. Well, let's talk about access then.
Okay.
To the library. What hours are you at?
We're open Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. On Fridays, we're open from 10 to 6, and on Saturdays, we're open from 10 to 2.
Very simple. Is that standard across the county?
We are a 5,000 square foot library, so our hours are more abbreviated than the larger libraries. Anyone looking for Sunday service at a library can go to Knightdale, to the East Regional Library, and they are open from 1 to 5 on Sundays, so that helps.
Well, we've said library card, and we've mentioned that many times. What age do you have to be to get a card?
Well, the short answer is that anyone can get a library card, as long as they're a Wake County taxpayer. The longer answer is that if you are under the age of 13, you do need a parent or guardian's permission and signature. But we have whole families who come in and will get a card for every single one of their children all the way up the scale. Other families prefer to get one card and share it amongst everybody. We, of course, would like everyone to have a library card. I'd love to see everyone in Zebulon have a library card. But the age limit is you have to be 13 in order to make that decision on your own.
Right. Okay. And how do they get one? What's the process?
Well, anyone who wants a Wake County library card can come in person and see us at the desk. What we need from anyone who needs a card is a proof of Wake County address. That can be on your driver's license. If you've just moved to the area, it can be your out-of-state license accompanied by something with your current address on it. We'll accept a utility bill or a check or a lease agreement, anything like that. The point is we just would like to know that you do live and pay taxes in Wake County, and then we'll get everyone set up then. Now, I've talked a lot about being a Wake County taxpayer in order to own a Wake County library card. That's not true across the board always. Anyone can be a Wake County library card holder. It's just that if you don't pay taxes in Wake County, out-of-county residents are charged a $25 annual fee in order to use the library's resources. If they would like to come and just use the computer, they do not have to pay that $25 fee. We can issue a computer-only card. That's especially big here in Zebulon, where we border so many counties. We border Nash, we border Johnston, and Franklin County. So a lot of our members are not Wake County taxpayers. So we like to offer, that caveat that if they need to use the computer, we would like to grant them access. However, if they would like to take out materials, that $25 annual fee is probably the best $25 they'll spend all year.
Yeah. We are known as 5-county region. The 5th county is Wilson County.
There you go.
It's close by. It doesn't abut Wake County, but it's very close by, so that's where it is. Well, you covered the cost of the $25 and that there's no fee. Are there any other fees that, well, I know that they're late fees, we're going to talk about that, but are there any other fees for services?
There are no other fees for services other than the late fees that we should probably talk about at some point.
We're going to in just a minute. Let's talk about how long is the card good for?
That's a great question, and I had to do some digging to find out the exact answer to that, because as far as I'm concerned, a card is good indefinitely, and it turns out that that is the right answer. If you have a Wake County library card and you use it on a regular basis, it's just good. We will ask you periodically to update your address with us so that we know you still live in Wake County, but those cards are good indefinitely. Now, if you are an out-of-county member, those cards are good for 1 year, and at the end of 1 year, you can make the decision as to whether or not you'd like to renew for another $25.
Are they notified automatically, or they just come in and find out one day that?
They come in and they find out pretty quickly. No, we put notes on their accounts, and we do try to keep them abreast of when that's set to expire.
Do you get a lot of people from the other counties? I mean, we are very close to the county line.
We do. We get a lot of it, and it's very confusing, and I'm sure you've run into this as well, where people will have that Zebulon address, but will actually pay taxes in the other county.
Yeah.
So it does make for some, for some disappointing conversations, and we try to work with people as much as possible.
We see that from the town's perspective, and for example, the recreation program, because there are higher charges in recreational programs that have fees for people that don't reside within the corporate limits of Zebulon, and the reason for that is that the Zebulon taxpayers are paying for the service.
Right.
Not the non-taxpayers, and so I understand that fully, and I know my recreation people get that a lot.
Yeah.
But it's just the way it is, you know. So anyway, well, we won't dwell on that. Okay, let's talk about fees and what it's cost. I mentioned that my wife probably has an endowment for late fees. She is a voracious reader, and occasionally she will be late returning a book. Let's talk about it.
Okay.
What is the late fee?
Well, to start off, the good news is that you get 1 day of grace if you're late. Wake County is very gracious in that way, so if you forget or just need that extra day, we'll grant you that 1 day. Every day after that, it's 10 cents per book per day, and each book caps out at $2. So once you've reached the $2 maximum on your book, I guess you could say you're good to go because you're not earning any more fines. What Wake County offers is if you have, 20 books out and they're all overdue at the maximum amount, they're all maxed out at $2, and your balance is something ridiculous, Wake County will let our members pay $10 and we'll wipe all of the rest of the fines away,
Okay.
which is a really, really good deal.
Yeah.
We've had people be able to wipe out hundreds of dollars in fines with that $10 payment.
That's an ongoing, it's not here today and gone tomorrow. I mean, that's something that they
That's
can do at any time.
That's a Wake County policy. Now, we typically don't like to check out books to anyone who has fines or lost books totaling over $50. Sometimes it does happen. However, we usually give people a stern talking to. I don't like to play into any librarian stereotypes, but we do get serious about our overdue fines.
Okay. Just like making people be quiet, right?
There you go.
Okay. And how do you collect those fees? I mean, obviously, I realize somebody brings a book in and says, "Hey, it's late," and they pay.
Mm-hmm.
But what if they drop it in the box out here? I mean, do you just pin their account somehow?
That's right. Everyone has and that's information that's available to the members themselves. It's not top secret information. Anyone can access their account online with their library card and their 4-digit PIN. And you can see at a glance the number of blocks you have on your account. You can see a balance at a glance, and if you have a book that's lost, it will record that as well. So it's a very transparent system. We're never trying to surprise anybody when we tell them about their library balance.
Well, let's talk about a lost book.
Okay.
What happens? I lose that book. It fell overboard.
Well, I want to be straight up. I have lost my fair share of library books, so I know this process all too well. I've left them on airplanes and in hotel rooms. The simple answer is if you lose a book, you're required to pay for the full price of the book. Lucky you, if it's a little paperback and it costs $2.99, you can pay that and be done. If it's a bestseller, could be $20. If you lose a disc out of an audiobook, it's $8 to replace that. But books can sometimes be lost and not have been left on an airplane. A lot of times our members will keep a book maybe a little longer than they meant to, and if it's past the due date and it goes for about a month and a half with no activity, that book will go into long overdue status. And at that time, the library will consider the book lost and charge you for the full cost of the book. Now, we know that's not so. In many cases, it's just under somebody's dusty bed or
Right.
on the floorboard of the car. And, as soon as that book comes back and is checked in, you're charged the $2 overdue balance, and you can pay it and move on. Now, there are rare occasions when you've lost a book and you've paid for it, and then suddenly it turns up under the
Right.
dusty bed or on the floorboard of the car. And as long as you keep the receipt that we issue with the lost book payment, you can bring that book back and we'll refund your money. So we're pretty fair like that. We just want our book back. So
somebody else can use it.
that's right.
That's right. That's exactly what it is. Well, good. Sarah, we've pretty well run the gamut here. I think you wanted to give me a library card.
I sure
But
did,
let's-
yes.
Let's take a break and wrap up with me getting a library card.
Excellent.
Okay. Do I need to take it out?
No, that's fine. I just need to see your driver's license with the proof that you live in Wake County, and it looks like you do, so I'll go ahead and put that information in there. Would you like the Zebulon Library to be your home location?
Sure.
Excellent. Date of birth, I won't tell.
It is what it is.
That's right. And what would you like as your 4-digit PIN code so that you can manage your account online?
Well, I don't want to give that over, but I got it.
Top secret. Okay,
Just
and
don't
then
put it on the-
we can either offer you telephone or email notification when your books arrive, and you can tell me that information later if you'd like to. For now, I'll just go ahead and scan this card in, and you can go ahead and start using it. All right. The last thing we need to have you do is sign it.
Okay.
If you can just sign the bottom for me, then you are a card holder with Wake County Public Libraries. You can start checking out books right away.
All right.
Excellent.
Good. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
All right. Well, folks, there it is. Drop by and pick one up, and we're right next to the Regional Center. I forgot the name of the street. Sunny?
Oh, we're on Dogwood Drive.
Dogwood Drive. Trying to go somewhere. Anyway, Dogwood Drive, down next to the Regional Center, the Zebulon Regional Library. Sarah, thank you.
Thank
Appreciate
you.
it. Enjoy it. I hope you find this information useful, and we'll see you next month.